Good Thursday morning, everybody. Here, Schuyler Callihan on Between the Ears, and figured today we talk about Geno Smith, former West Virginia quarterback, now the starting quarterback with the Seattle Seahawks. And look, I've been waiting for the right time to do this, and I figured now would probably be a good time since he just got honored for the second straight year to go to the Pro Bowl, and it's well deserving, much deserving. And also, Seattle yesterday decided to hire Mike Macdonald as the new head coach. So, don't really know what that means for Geno's future. And obviously, anytime there's any sort of change, whether it's head coach or front office, you really don't know what's going on. Just because you think you have a team that's competitive doesn't mean that they could come in and make complete household changes. And I don't think that's really the direction that they're going to go because they are competitive enough. I think they just need to add a few more pieces, and then Seattle could be right back there in the mix in the NFC West. But who knows? Who knows what Mike Macdonald's vision is for this team, along with the front office. But look, man, I mean, look, over the last 2 years, Geno has been, I mean, as good as possible. I mean, as good as some of the best quarterbacks in the, maybe not the Patrick Mahomeses or anything like that, but I mean, he has been very, very strong. 16-15 record, but has completed somewhere in the neighborhood of 66, 67% of his passes. He's averaged about, or he's thrown for a little over 7,800 yards and 50 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. I mean, those are numbers that literally every team in the NFL would love to have. And my biggest question since going back to, let's see, 2015 is why did it take so damn long for him to get his second chance? I have no idea what the answer is to that. You look at his production in those first 2 years when he was with the New York Jets. It was obviously a tough situation he was put in. The numbers weren't great, but we've seen quarterbacks over the years have worse numbers, have better teams and better support systems around them, actually have a franchise and a head coach that believe in them, and they still fail to a worse degree than what Geno did in his first 2 years with the Jets. I promise you, if you go back and look at some of the depth charts from the 2013-14 seasons for New York, it's almost laughable. I mean, talk about setting up a young quarterback to fail. That was Geno Smith. He had no chance to succeed in New York. Again, he was drafted to a place that the head coach didn't even want him. Rex Ryan has been on the record several times talking about how he didn't want Geno Smith and how he didn't like him as a quarterback. We've seen the kind of riffraff that's gone back and forth between those guys over the years. And now, of course, Rex is, giving some backhanded compliments every now and then to Geno because he's finally getting his second chance and is succeeding. But I think had Geno been drafted anywhere else, or at least to a situation where the head coach had full trust in him, he had some help around him, both at receiver, running back, offensive line, or at least two of the three, you have some infrastructure there for him to build something, for him to have success earlier in his career. And who knows, maybe he's a 10-year starter in the league. Because what we've seen these last 2 years showed that, hey, in the right situation, he thrives. He got that opportunity in Seattle because Pete Carroll believed in him. Seattle, when they traded off Russell Wilson, everyone in the NFL thought this team is going to hit the bottom. They're going rock bottom. They're going to be drafting in the top 5 of the draft. The offense is going to be good, but not have a guy that can get guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett the ball. But Geno proved everyone wrong. Threw for 30 touchdowns, completed 69.8% of his passes, which, by the way, is an NFL record, in 42 100 yards, 42.82 to be exact, which is a Seattle franchise record. Again, a guy or a franchise that had Russell freaking Wilson as its starter for a number of years. So, I mean, I feel for Geno. I'm glad he got his opportunity when he did, and I'm sure he's at peace with it now. It seems like he surely is, and he's a guy that embraces everything. He doesn't question a lot of things. I mean, I'm sure there's times throughout his career where he was wondering if he would ever get that opportunity again, and I don't know how that wouldn't run through your mind a time or two. But he's always embraced it. He's always stayed ready, and he's always trusted that this was the plan that was set out for him, and he's living through it. So hat tip to him for that. But my goodness, in the age of, you know, drafting young quarterbacks is a cool and hip thing to do, you know, you got to give them a chance. You don't have a coach, you don't have a receiver, you don't have running backs, you don't have an offensive line that can protect him. What do you expect from them? You're going to give up on him after 2 years? And then go through this quarterback purgatory that they've been in for almost a decade now? They've been drafting guys left and right. They don't work out. I mean, hell, they gave Sam Darnold a longer chance or more of a chance. And Sam had a little bit more to work with. Not much. He had bad coaching and he had some bad people around him in terms of the skill position. But you compare and contrast, you could argue Sam Darnold had a little bit more help and he had a longer leash. Same organization. Why? Why didn't Geno get that same lifespan? Why, when the Jets said, you know what, we're giving up on Sam Darnold, we're going to move in a different direction. We're going to draft another young quarterback who's going to come in here and eventually fail because we don't know how to build around him. When that all happened, there was trade interest all around the NFL for Sam Darnold. Carolina gave up a second, a fourth, and a sixth-round pick, for crying out loud, for Sam freaking Darnold, who, by the way, is now the backup on the San Francisco 49ers. Why was there no interest in Geno Smith? I don't understand that. 2 years and you're giving up? The whole league, all 32 teams say he's not good enough to start. We're not going to give him an opportunity. I mean, how many first and second and third round picks that were starters at the beginning of their career didn't have success? They take a back seat for maybe a year or so, and boom, they're right back into a starting role, whether it's for the long term or not. There's some teams at the bottom of the NFL that they say, hey, we're going to take a flyer on this guy. If it works, great. If not, we're going to be drafting high. Nobody did that. No one gave Geno Smith an opportunity. And I just don't understand it. I mean, would he be the same quarterback today if he didn't go through all he went through and sat all those years and learned from the likes of Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers and Russell Wilson? Maybe not. Maybe he never has these two types of years that he's just had. That's a possibility. Maybe he needed that time. But also, maybe if he wasn't thrown into the fire in his rookie season, starting 16 games on a bad football team, that could have changed. Had the Jets went out and actually signed somebody that's worth a damn, that's had some years of experience in the NFL, that Geno could pick, you know, that quarterback's brain and learn from and sit. Because back then, that was kind of the thing. You know, you draft a quarterback, especially if he was a second rounder. I mean, everyone thought Geno was a first-round pick, but I mean, he went in the second. But especially when he was drafted in the second, you think, you got to have somebody in place. That was the thing back then. Even when you drafted guys high, teams would sit those quarterbacks for 4, 6, maybe even 8 weeks before giving them the keys of the offense. Not New York. No. Not New York. And how does it make sense? You're going to start the quarterback that you don't even believe in from day one. Is that to make sure he flames out and you prove everybody right that you were right? I don't get it. If he sits behind a veteran for 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, maybe it doesn't blow up in New York's face. Maybe you sit him for half the year, get him some starting experience towards the back end of that season of his rookie year in 2013. You go out and you actually get the guy some help and probably find a way to make it work. But this is the New York Jets that we're talking about. It's also the New York media that we're talking about. The first 2 years of his career, everything highly scrutinized, highly talked about amongst the New York media. The second he does one wrong thing, or the second the team does something bad or they lose a game, might not even be Geno's fault, but it's going to be pinned on him as well because he's the quarterback. Going to New York was the worst thing that could have happened in Geno Smith's career. But like I said, who knows what he would have been if he had that same exact situation in New York for the first 2 years, went somewhere else and started right away instead of sitting behind Manning and Rivers and Wilson. Who knows if he's the same player today? But I'd be willing to bet he would be. I mean, it's not every day that this guy is completing well over 60% of his passes, or you have a quarterback that's completing that high percentage. So you tell me what Geno would have looked like had he not had to wait 6 years, really 7, for his second chance. And why did it have to take 7 years for that second chance when everybody else gets that second chance like this? I don't know. Don't have the answer for that one, but once again, tip of the hat to Geno for finding a way to make it work and for having these last 2 stellar seasons that he's had in Seattle. And hopefully he has another couple more in him before he hangs it up and gets into the next chapter of his life, whether it be coaching, TV, who knows. But that'll do it for us here today on Between the Ears. I'm Schuyler Callihan. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like at Mountain Ears Now and follow us on X at the same handle. We truly appreciate you guys checking in each and every Monday through Friday with us, and we certainly appreciate the support. So please give us that, hit that subscribe button, hit like, tell everybody about us here on Between the Ears at Mountain Ears Now, and we'll be back tomorrow for our final episode of the week on Fast Friday.